Welcome back to part 3 of Energy Audits for Churches. Let's transition into utility data analysis. And why is it important? It's a good idea to have somebody obviously look at the bills, but if you can place them in a spreadsheet and get graphs out of them and see trends, it pays huge dividends. Many utilities today will do that for you if you get your account set up on their website. Here is a beautiful example of why it's important to graph and look at your energy use. In this case, we're going to use water and sewer. If you look, the water and sewer bills track. They look almost the same, but they really shouldn't, because in the summer, when you see the water spike, the water use is going up because a cooling tower is being used for the chiller condenser. So that water is being evaporated. It's not going down the drain. Shouldn't affect sewage. So when you look at this, you see that they're being charged sewage for water that's not going down the drain. A quick fix for this was to call the local water company and get an irrigation meter put on so that would no longer happen. That only cost $340. It paid for itself in 1 month. Imagine the thousands of dollars that this church had lost over the years from paying sewage on water that wasn't even going down the drain. Easy to find once you put it in graphs and charts. For weather data, weatherunderground.com is an excellent free source of data. Now, if you're dealing with a church that only operates on Sunday or maybe Sunday and Wednesday, regular average temperature data just is not enough. As these graphs show, you need to look at the Sunday. In 2010, there was a severe cold snap, and as irony would have it, the coldest days of the months were on Sunday. So this answered the question that many churches had was, why is our utility bill going up so much when the average temperature really isn't that much different? You need to look at the Sundays in particular to get the whole story. Let's shift gears into lighting. These are typical findings that I see in churches. Hallways are usually over illuminated. They usually use the same fixtures that other rooms use, and you don't need that much. Incandescent bulbs are still often used. The exit signs are one of the easiest fixes you'll run into. The LED exit sign is cheap. The payback's less than 6 months, and the utility companies give you good rebates for that. Other incandescent bulbs still exist in lamps and other lighting. HID lights, high intensity discharge lights, are still used sometimes in the auditorium. If the church has a gym, many times I'll see these in a gymnasium. And when you replace these with either high efficiency fluorescent or LED, you get more savings than just the energy savings of the bulb, because the HID lights take up to 10 minutes to turn on, so they're typically left on all day long if the room's going to be used at all. With the fluorescent or LED, you can turn them off when you're not using them. Outdoor lights that are on in the daytime. This is called a day burner in energy management jargon. Once in a while, I'll run into this. Usually it's a dirty photocell, but need to keep your eyes open for it. It's common to find that. And T12 lights. They're still out there. You can replace T12 lights with high efficiency T8, T5 if the ceiling's high enough. And you'll cut energy use 50% right off the top by doing that. The high efficiency fluorescence will be a better light, a higher color rendering index, and you won't have those annoying issues that the old magnetic ballast T12s would have, such as humming, slow startup, flicker, and some people even complained of headaches because they ran at 60 hertz, whereas the new bulbs run at very high frequencies. Here are some more examples of incandescent and HID lights being used in a church. Just to give you an example of how lucrative those utility rebates can be, these lights up high in the sanctuary here are 65 watt, I believe par 38s. You can get an LED replacement bulb for that for $36, which seems really steep, but the rebate is actually $30 for this. This is a commercial rebate. So you can see where it makes good sense to replace these with LED, and the payback would be very quick. You're going from 65 watts down to 15. One more slide on lighting findings, and you can see more of the same here. I'd like to point out, you see those 4 outdoor lights upper right hand corner that stay on all the time. If you crunch some quick numbers, this is actually a couple $100 or more that's being lost every year because these lights never go off. These are easy to see, easy to find, and usually very easy to fix. Here is a spreadsheet format that I use often to illustrate lighting retrofit savings. In this case, these are just T12, either 4 bulb or 2 bulb, and some incandescent bulbs that are being replaced with 2 bulb T8s and some CFLs. And the rebate is actually being a part of this spreadsheet, and you can see what effect that it has. You can see in this case that lighting upgrades are pretty lucrative, especially when you bring in the rebates. This one in particular has only a 0.7-year payback. Okay, let's summarize a lighting strategy for churches. You need to eliminate frequently used T12s. eliminate incandescent and HID lights, consider motion sensing where it makes sense. And here I'd like to talk a little bit about what I prefer in a motion sensor, a vacancy sensor. A vacancy sensor allows you to still manually turn the lights off and on. What I like about this is, let's say that you forgot something in the building and you run back in. It prevents the lights from being needlessly toggled off and on, and which would reduce bulb life, especially with fluorescence. And it allows you to keep those good habits you were taught as a child to turn off the lights when you're not in the room. Don't rely on the automation to do it. Now, I state here again about the lighting rebates that utilities offer. You really need to look into that. They're very lucrative. And I give here the case that I talked about earlier about the LED light bulb that's only $6 instead of $36. Well, that marks the end of part 3. Please join us for the 4th and final episode of Energy Audits for Churches.